I was never really a fan of iPads because they always just seemed like a clunkier version of the iPhone. I've had an iPad since the iPad 2 and it was always just a little bit meh. Since iPad OS has come along and come onto the scene though, it's kind of now made my iPad Pro my favourite bit of tech that I own. And I don't use it in a massively productive way, but it works well for me. I also haven't upgraded to the iPad 2020 that came out this year because for me, that doesn't make any sense. And the iPad that I have at the moment does everything that I need it to do. I've got the 11-inch 256 gig version of the iPad Pro, and I've only had it about 2 months or so. And the reason that I got it in the first place was to stop trying to use my MacBook Pro as much as I was. I also got this from the Apple refurbished store, and not a huge amount of people know about the refurbished store, so I'm happy to do a whole separate video on that. But I mostly use the iPad Pro for watching TV, going on YouTube, and everything that I would use my phone for. But when I'm relaxing, I want something which is a bit bigger than a phone, but not as big and as clunky as a MacBook Pro. I try and keep my iPad home screen as clean and as simple as possible, so that means I only have 2 pages of apps. The first page has got all my everyday apps on it, and then that includes the dock as well, which I'll talk about in a minute. Then the second page of apps is just folders where I keep all the other apps that I tend to use but don't want it cluttering up the look of the iPad. On that first page is a load of random Apple apps, which I know you can delete, but I kind of like the look of it and I think it makes the iPad look quite nice. And probably my favorite feature of iPad OS is being able to have those widgets on the home screen. And some of the widgets are super useful. And as well as it being super useful, it gives the iPad a whole new fresh look. I only really have 3 widgets that I keep on the home screen. So the weather, because that's always nice to know. I then have the battery percentage. So if I have AirPods connected, it's always good to know what the battery percentage of the AirPods Pro are. And then also Siri shortcuts. Now, Siri shortcuts is something I don't know a huge amount about, but it's something that I want to get to know because some of the shortcuts I have are making life so much easier. There's one here where I can connect my AirPods just at the click of a button instead of having to go into the Bluetooth settings. There's another one that shows me all of my screenshots, and I take so many accidental screenshots. I don't know why, it just is a thing. So I can go through all the screenshots and delete the ones that I don't need. So Siri shortcuts is quite a powerful thing, and I'm hoping that I can learn a little bit more about it. One of the other apps that I use all of the time is Notes as well. Now that is used a lot for when I want to script any sort of video. So anytime I do one of these, I will always script it in Notes. I'll occasionally use the music app as well to just scroll through and listen to a bit of music when I'm writing some of the scripts. But weirdly, I like to work in total silence. I don't really like any sound going on around me when I'm writing anything. Adobe Lightroom is one of those ones that people have mentioned 1,000 times on videos like this, and I'm trying to use it as much as I can. I'm trying to learn it a lot more so photos on Instagram can look a little bit better. Then there's LumaFusion, and LumaFusion is probably the best editing software that you can get on an iPad, and I want to be able to try and edit full videos on the iPad, but I just don't think that I have the patience to learn LumaFusion. Since lockdowns happened, I've been using this a lot more for games, and the one game that I've been brilliant at is Call of Duty Mobile because you can hook up your Xbox One controller. Since hooking up the Xbox One controller, I have been sick at this game. I'm also obsessed at the moment with playing Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. I don't know why. I can never get to the £1 million, but I just kind of like to think that I'm smart. A bit of an interesting one. I bought the Apple Pencil a couple of weeks ago and I've been trying to use it, but I don't know if you need an Apple Pencil. If you don't use this iPad in a pro way, I just think the Apple Pencil is nice to have, but it's just not needed. 256 gigs for me. I thought I would need it. I thought I would do a lot more on it, but I tend to just use it in a non-pro way. I use it as everybody else would use it for watching TV, for scrolling through Twitter and Instagram. I just use the iPad as a bigger version of the iPhone. I wish I did use it in more of a pro fashion and did more video editing or did more picture editing through Lightroom and all of that stuff. There are a few things that annoy me about this iPad, but the reason that I like the iPad Pro is because it's fun. And with iPad OS, there's only going to be more and more things coming to make the iPad even better. If you like these videos and want to see a little bit more, then subscribe to the channel and also hit the like button as well and drop any comments you want to down below.